Damir Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" King
Jameson Williams, he's got it. Touchdown, Lions.
Yeah, you wish there was some type of form of touchdown for Team USA. Unfortunately, it was not even close to what you expected, what you had hoped, what you anticipated, and it was a dud. USA falls to Belgium in the round of 16 in Seattle in decisive fashion, 4-1. Welcome, everybody, on a Tullymore Tuesday. We're glad you're with us here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. You can join us in the chat as we stream live on X, YouTube, and Facebook. You can also call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. And you can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. Team USA allowed the first goal for the first time in the tournament. Then they responded nicely before giving the lead away in 61 seconds. That's hard to do in soccer.
Yeah.
In basketball, it's easy. Yeah, in basketball, it's easy. In hockey, to a certain extent, it's easy. In football, it's kind of easy. Kickoff return for a score. In soccer, that's pretty hard to do. And then it wasn't even close.
Now, at that point, right? You're thinking it's going to go to the half, like tied 1-1. Momentum's going to be, at least, going back towards the USA's way. And then I credit Belgium. They just came down and made another really nice play.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I hear that quite a bit, and I think you're right about that. I try to figure out how much is that on the U.S. and how much of it is on Belgium. Every team who loses does this. Every team, Canada did this in the Olympics, right, against Team USA. And then they'll point to shots on net comparable and things of that nature to try and make themselves feel good. I don't know if there's anything that makes Team USA or American soccer fans feel good. The U.S. has now lost in the field of 16 in 4 of the last 5 World Cups. I am so tired, and I tweeted this out earlier this morning. I am so tired of hearing the future is bright. This was sent out in a tweet earlier or late last night, and it kind of encapsulates everything so well on why I'm so tired of hearing the future is bright. 1930. USA finished in 3rd place. 1934, they were bounced in the round of 16. 1938, they withdrew. 1950, group stage. 1954 through 1986, they did not qualify. There was a stretch of 36 years in which the United States did not qualify for the World Cup. I.e., they weren't good enough, or we weren't good enough. When they finally did qualify in 1990, they lost in the group stage. Then in 1994, they lost in the round of 16. Then in 1998, the future looked so bright, they lost in the group stage. In 2010, round of 16. 2014, round of 16. 2018 did not qualify. And then the last 2 World Cups, the round of 16. This mantra that you were hearing from these talking mouthpieces of people who played on Team USA at one point or were representing American soccer at one point in front of a television camera telling us the future is bright. Based on what?
Yeah, the result's the same every time. That's a fair,
there's nothing. Fair opinion. There is nothing, Andy, that has given us any belief that the team in the United States of America, the soccer teams, are going to turn the corner anytime soon. If the round of 16 is the bar, we're there. If the World Cup semifinals, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, championship is the goal, they're not even close.
No,
and they've never been close, except for 1930 when they finished in 3rd place. 1930. Hello, war.
Yeah, it's awesome they get a win in knockout play, but it's like they added more teams this year.
Oh, my God.
So that's a part of it, too, and that's why people, it's like
It's awesome. They got a win in knockout play, which was controversial and was barely a win. I mean, come on. Can we stop, please?
The minute they get a top
this is
10
the stuff
team.
this is the stuff that, honest to God, it should piss fans off. That you're trying to tell me something. I can see it. I've got the historical significance here. I've got the numbers. Stop it. Did you get us excited? Absolutely. That should be the goal. You got us excited. We're fired up. Do you know how long I have heard that soccer is taking over the United States? Do you know how long people have told me that this is the next big thing? Do you know how long people have told me that the United States is turning towards soccer? Basically, since I was in high school in the 1980s. Here's what I said back then, and here's what I say now. Show me. Prove it. And don't give me Seattle was alive because of the MLS. That Messi has come here to play in Miami. So what? How has that taken off? You know what takes off? Let me tell you what takes off. The National Football League takes off. The NBA takes off. Major League Baseball, until they have a strike or a lockout next year, they have taken off. The hockey numbers have taken off. I know soccer is worldwide. This is what I get it all the time at parties when we have these debates. And I know soccer draws massive amounts of numbers for the World Cup. Good for them. I mean, good for FIFA. And trust me, I love the way the United States has embraced this World Cup, has showcased our land and our emotion and our passion and our good nature and our friendliness and our neighborhood feel. I love it all. We should brag about it. And I would hope at one stage, I don't know when, we would get it back because of how well it's been done. But acting like suddenly that soccer is going to take over the United States like it's taken over the world. I say this to people all the time. You know why soccer is bigger than the National Football League? The National Football League's only played in the United States. Now, granted, the NFL has gone to Australia and gone to Germany and gone to London and all these different places over the years. Those stadiums are full. Every time the U.S. plays abroad, and the Lions will do that in Germany this year. Those stadiums are full, Andy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No question about that.
Well, let me know when, suddenly we get an MLS season. And that's not even a great league from what I hear. I'm no expert, but this is what people
say.
Me,
Premier League
okay?
is the league. Yeah,
of course it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So the MLS is just okay. But what do you compare it to? American Hockey League, AAA? Is it even that? If that's the case, how is it taken off? Where are the results? Look, when the United States decided to get together and say, we're going to have a national team development program in hockey. It's in Plymouth, Michigan. It was in Ann Arbor, moved to Plymouth. Kids from all over the country come here to play for the national team development program. The United States hockey took off. And now the United States hockey is viewed among the world's best. Look at the numbers of the National Hockey League, the greatest league in the world. It's not the Premier League. It's not in a foreign land. The greatest league in the world is in the United States, primarily. Greatest league in the world in baseball, in basketball, in football, all in the United States. Why can't the United States have a Premier League equivalent if it's taken off? Just wondering. It's a Tullymore Tuesday. Omari Sankofa will join us at 8:35. We'll dive deep into what the Pistons are up to here on X's and Bros. Glad you're with us on a Tullymore Tuesday.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC Warehouse locations in Michigan.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
All right, back with you on a Tullymore Tuesday here on X's and Bros. Thanks for being with us. Team USA out. Are you still watching it? We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth in this first hour. Are you still watching soccer?
I think I was into it enough that I'll definitely watch like the championship or like the ones around it if I'm around. I'm not gonna like plan my day around it. That's for sure. But
were you planning your day around Team USA? I mean, they played at 8:00.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to watch it last night. That's for sure. Yeah,
sure. What's the next matchup you can't wait to watch?
I don't just like have that in my head. Anything Argentina's in, I'd probably be interested in just because Messi's so damn good. But
they play Egypt tonight, so you're locked in there. I assume, right?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, I am not watching Switzerland and Colombia. I mean, to your point, maybe I'll watch a championship. I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know who the favorite is. You know. Norway plays England later on. That's supposedly going to be a really good one. Spain and Belgium. Who's the favorite? France is the favorite, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Still are.
All right. Yeah. It's just how much does it move the needle for each individual? And France plays Morocco, I believe, next. So, all right. Look, I was... To say proud might be a little much. I was more proud of how the country put on the event than the team that advanced. And the only reason I say that is because I don't have the scope of how good other teams are of Team USA's win. So them beating, for example, or they actually lost to Turkey, but beating Australia. How do we put that in context? Beating Paraguay, all right? Beating Senegal. How important was that? How impressive was that? Those who know soccer would be better, but being that it's early on and not elimination play, one thinks you have to just get a few wins to get to a certain stage. They got to that stage, fine. They did it 4 years ago. From what I understand, the coach was brought in here to fix that. I believe that was the whole purpose. The reason they wanted to make that move is because he was going to get them past that stage. And obviously it didn't happen. They looked, I have a better eye for our 4 major sports here. And I would expand it from 4 to more than that, because I think, people in the United States absolutely love golf, even though it's not our game per se. I have a better eye for that kind of stuff, but they looked very tentative. And I've watched them play in the tournament. Like I said, they have piqued some of my interest. There's no way I would choose that over a hockey game or an NFL game or a baseball game. I'm not watching the Tigers so I can watch the USA soccer. That's not happening. Not doing that to watch a basketball game. A summer league game, yes, I would watch the soccer game in the World Cup with Team USA more than I would watch a summer league game. But I could tell, anybody who watches sports could tell they were tentative to start. If you've watched them throughout this tournament, you could tell that they were tentative. Anyway, they're out, and I wonder what your interest is, if it still remains.
I feel like there are people that are still going to watch definitely some games because of it. Even I feel like this did get people into it because they just played more games.
The U.S. played more games.
I feel like
the field is larger.
Yeah, I just feel like I've noticed more people being into it than ever before in my life. That's for sure.
I agree. How much of that has to do with the fact that we were hosting
it? That probably is a big part of it. Yeah,
I think it's a massive part of it. If this is someplace else, are we really doing that? I mean, especially because of the time change. And these are all times convenient to you and I. If they're playing in Italy, the 8. That's a big difference in time. Are you saying, listen, I've got to stay up, or I've got to get my sleep patterns correct?
No,
I'm not so sure about that.
I agree.
I think most of it is the fact that we are hosting it, that we've had a chance to go to it. We want to see how people react to our country, and the reaction has been incredibly positive. So I think all of that gets us even a little bit more excited. Meanwhile, the Tigers are hoping to excite you tonight. They hope to stay on their roll. They welcome the Athletics to town, a 3-game series. Detroit's won 5 of 6. They're going to throw Skubal and Melton and Valdez over the next 3 days. The A's have dropped 3 in a row, 7-10. They do have a winning record on the road. In one of the stranger twists of a story we've recently seen, Michigan State is retaining their school president, Kevin Guskowitz. He has signed a 5-year deal worth $1.5 million a year.
Yeah, riddle me that one.
Who would have seen that one coming?
I was surprised when I saw that. Yeah.
Stunned. Absolutely stunned. I'm sure people in Clemson, down in South Carolina, are even more stunned than we are. Here's the Mitch Lions 12 poll question. Andy's already tweeted it out. I've retweeted it. What's more disrespectful for the Lions? That Dan Campbell is ranked 5th best head coach, according to Pro Football Focus. That Jahmyr Gibbs is ranked the 2nd best running back, according to ESPN. That Jared Goff is rated 16th quarterback by Pro Football Focus. Or that the team has the 4th best roster in the NFC, according to ESPN. We'll get to all that and more coming up here on X's and Bros, but you can vote as often as you'd like. You can do so by following us on Twitter at XB Mornings. Curious, that there's a lot of pitching available in the upcoming trade deadline, and that happens every year. Around Major League Baseball's trade deadline, which this year is August 3rd, there are a lot of teams looking for pitching. ESPN came out with the top 100 trade candidates. 100. Jeff Passan was part of the group. He says that Tarek Skubal has an 85% chance of being traded. The reason? He's a game changer, and that he's a free agent at the end of the year. That's not a surprise to you and I, even 85%. What might be a bit of a surprise is the fact that Casey Mize is viewed at 60%. Reason for a possible trade, high if it continues to click because of the impact that he can make. Both of them will be free agents at the end of this year. Here's what ESPN writes as the buzz around Casey Mize. While Mize has twice hit the injured list with a strained groin, his most recent start illustrates why he'll be in high demand if Detroit decides to punt. He threw 7 scoreless innings and allowed 1 hit while striking out 10 Yankees. He isn't popping any models with his stuff, but he's striking out more than a batter an inning. He's allowing less than a base runner an inning, and his contract will barely be $2 million for the remainder of the season. Best fits: Braves, Padres, Cubs, Brewers, White Sox, A's, Cardinals, Rays, Diamondbacks, Blue Jays. Best fits. I mean, come on. White Sox, A's. Are they really going to pay the premium that it would take to lure Casey Mize away from the Tigers down the stretch? The interesting thing is, I think the other teams would. I'm not sure about those teams. The interesting thing about both Skubal and Mize in this case, and we got to hit a break, and we'll get to it on the other side. And throughout this top 100, I don't see the Tigers in on anybody. Why is everybody except for us looking at the Tigers as continuous sellers? And I would say losing the top 2 arms in your rotation are big sellers. Phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text is Sports Radio 21000. You can join us in the chat as you watch us stream live on X, Facebook, and YouTube on a Tullymore Tuesday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Martin, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Yeah, that tonight can't be a direct reflection of what we were trying to accomplish because, again, you have good days and you have bad days, and today was one of our bad days, and it got the best of us. We came out here with the ambition that we can go really far in this tournament. We didn't obviously go as far as we'd like. That being said, if we inspired just a few kids throughout this journey, then we did something right. I wish we could have won tonight. The fans deserve the support that we've had over the past, few weeks. They deserve it. The people back home deserve it. I can't thank the fans enough. Can't thank this coaching staff, support staff, everyone that supported us throughout this journey enough. They've helped us grow, and we went through tough times and amazing times throughout this journey, and right now it's a tough time. But we'll grow from it.
That's Tyler Adams on Team USA after losing 4-1 last night to Belgium. No relation to John Adams, John Quincy Adams, or Steven Adams of the NBA.
Believe it or not.
It's over. In the words of Loverboy, it's over.
If you were if you were a huge soccer fan, I was just thinking about this during the break. Like if this was your sport and you were a USA fan, obviously we love our teams here in Detroit and stuff. And
this would be tough to take.
Right. Like I'm thinking okay, so when the Lions were 15-2 and they went and lost that game in the first round, I feel like this is what that would feel like because everybody was so hyped up that this was the year they were going to be able to win that game.
This was the year what?
That the USA was maybe going to be able to actually win this game in the round of 16.
In the round of 16.
Yeah,
gotcha.
People were this is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. I think that's a good example. I do. I'm with you on that. I'm not going to sit here and try to claim to know what the expectations were legitimately or not. So, because I don't know. Would it have ended against Spain? Because that's who they play next. Belgium plays next. I would think so.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I can't sit here and rattle off, players for Spain like you can, for example, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
Andy.
I
just know, but the disappointment, what you're referring to, is a good one. It's not 2009 Stanley Cup Detroit Red Wings Pittsburgh Penguins. It's not.
No,
because that's the ultimate championship. Your example of Lions Washington Commanders is a good one. It's a home game. The expectations were high. The favorites in this game last night was Team USA.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was going to say it's an American betting book, but they were the favorite in last night's game. They don't just do that, they're not trying to just do that just because it's Team USA. They're trying to make money at the books at the end of the day. So yeah, they're doing it because they actually believe
way off.
Unfortunately,
they were way off. The play, I'm not going to sit here and say I know exactly what the goalie is supposed to do. They just looked awkward. They looked they were trying to make plays like they were incapable of, and they're capable of it.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime they had possession on offense, they just did not. They looked clunky. They had to keep passing it back out. There was never any real threat. And some of those passes that Belgium had early in the game were ridiculously good too. They just played with more confidence.
Well, here's the other thing. I was looking at this and hearing about so many different things when it comes to this team in general. And one of them was Christian Pulisic. He was hurt early on in the tournament, and Team USA was able to still perform its best without him. He's supposedly their best player. I ask you, and I know he had possession of the ball probably more than anybody else on Team USA last night for while he was in the game because he left with an injury, which I texted Andy on a regular basis. It seems like every single play, and by that, I don't mean just to pass back and forth to one another, but I mean, as you try to get going, when there is physical contact, people fall down and one of two things happens. It's a palms to the sky complaining. Why is there or why is there not some type of flag or card, in this case, a yellow card or a red card, which always kills me. I mean, at least in football, there's a flag on the play. You're going to run up to a guy and hand him a card. But anyway, or somebody is wreathing in pain. And Team USA had possession of the ball. They were pressuring Belgium. I think they were down 3-1 at the time. Pulisic gets hurt. and he is just on the ground like he just got shot.
Yeah, for a minute,
and they had to stop the game. They had to stop play. And I'm thinking to myself, man, does that kill momentum? I'm wondering. I don't know the answer to this because I didn't play soccer. Is that killing the momentum? The sport's got to do something about it. It's painful to watch. I don't know how people watch it. I really
seriously.
don't.
There's games like last night where there is just an obnoxious amount of people falling down, and it's like it does make it unwatched. I agree with you.
That's supposed to be sports entertainment?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think there's way too much complaining in sports in general. Baseball, you don't get as much. Basketball, you get it on a regular basis, on every possession, on a drive. Where's the foul? Or how come that should be an and one? Something along those lines. Hockey, it's turned into quite a bit, where after a play, you got a guy going like this. And football, every pass, either a wide receiver or a cornerback seems to be complaining about what should have been called pass interference, or if it was called pass interference, it shouldn't have been. So I think there's too much in general, but soccer, it is in one game, it is constant.
It's so noticeable.
I literally said out loud last night, I don't know how people watch this on a regular basis. The complaining, the whining, the theatrics are beyond palpable. It's really hard for me. Anyway, I don't have to worry about it anymore. This will be the last time, maybe for 4 years, where we lead a show with soccer. Okay,
it's probably
I can promise
fair.
you that. Yeah. Listen, we were talking just before the break about the Major League Baseball trade deadline, and ESPN listed 100 candidates. Guess how many Tigers are on the top 100?
4.
7.
Wow.
7. They have 2 of the top 4 second basemen to be traded, 2 of the top 4 starting pitchers to be traded. Here's how they rank them. Fair or unfair, concerning or not. Tarek Skubal is number 1. That's not a surprise. And I'm not suggesting, or nor are they, he's the number 1 candidate because of the percentage. They've got him at 85%, as I've said. Because Byron Buxton is the number 2 trade candidate at 10%. All right? But they've got Casey Mize. So Tarek Skubal is at 1. Casey Mize at 60%. Where do you think he ranks among the possible trade candidates? He ranks 8th.
I was going to say, I could see him being pretty high up there.
Yeah. Who would be next from the Tigers? I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking 7 names. Who are the 7 names?
Well, one of them's I could see maybe them saying Gleyber Torres.
Correct.
Yep.
He's at 35. And he's hurt.
Yeah, he's been hurt a lot of the season too.
Right. And they got him at 35. Who else would be in this conversation?
It's a good question. Is Jack Flaherty towards
Jack
the back
Flaherty
end?
is
I could see that for sure.
He's at 46.
Yep.
So 46. We're talking about right there. You got 4 guys in the top 50. A lot of trades taking place, right? You've got 3 more guys. 2 of them are pitchers. Who would they be?
More guys.
Yep.
They wouldn't. Framber Valdez isn't in there, is he?
He is not.
Too heavy still? Okay.
Yeah, way too early. It's Drew Anderson.
Wow.
He's at 71.
Okay, I couldn't have guessed that. I'm not gonna lie. But.
It's Justin Verlander at 89.
Wow.
Would not have guessed that. And one more position player. Who's the position player? So you know it's not Green. You know it's not McGonigal. You know it's not Keith. Spencer Torkelson, with all due respect. I mean, it's not Javier Baez.
No, okay.
No.
I have no idea what's going on with this.
Zach McKinstry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. At 96. There are your 7 Tigers. Skubal, Mize, Torres, Flaherty, Anderson, Verlander, and McKinstry. Those are the 7 guys ESPN puts as part of the top 100, which, again, very interesting. Luis Ariz is in there from San Francisco. You've got plenty of all-stars in there, including Joe Ryan, Aroldis Chapman, right? These guys are all-stars. And Sonny Gray should be an all-star, and he's in there as well. Josh Hader. You've got big names associated with this stuff, all right, that they think could be moved. Isaac Paredes is involved. Maybe Houston does a clean sweeping of a lot of the players that you would have thought helped be the backbone of it. Michael Wacha, he's an all-star for Kansas City, and he's involved there. The thing that I noticed about all this stuff is as I look at best fits, and I think every once in a while you could get a player in there that might help another team elevate into contention. The Tigers are that team. The Tigers are a team. Maybe we're the only ones. I've said this time and time again. I don't know how many people right now in some of these other wild card possible cities, like the Athletics. That's maybe a bad example because who knows where they're home to. Baltimore. Baltimore's 7 games under 500. Baltimore is only 3.5 back of the wild card. Are they buyers or are they sellers? Based on some of the top 100, they would be selling. Based on some of the top 100, actually has them going to Baltimore. So perhaps they could be both. I don't see Detroit in any of these, and not that ESPN's the gospel here, but I don't see Detroit in any of this stuff. I see them getting rid of their players, not acquiring anybody else, which tells you what? Which tells you that most of the national media feel like Detroit is not a playoff contending team. We are holding on hope because of what we experienced over the last 2 years. Baseball, sports in general, can be crazy. Very odd. We've seen it firsthand. We've experienced in a good way 2 years ago, coming from way back, never believing it was possible, and yet somehow surprising the entire baseball world, even as Detroit became sellers. See you later, Jack Flaherty. And last year, we witnessed in a more nervous fashion where you blew a big lead. So I guess I wonder why every publication has this. Go ahead and look at it. I wonder why this is the case. Like, I saw a DraftKings sportsbook post yesterday, and it went by MLB tiers. So they've got, for example, the Dodgers and the Brewers as being outstanding, okay? They've got an A standing by certain teams. Where do you think they have the Tigers? They have the Tigers grouped in with the Giants, Mets, Royals, Rockies, and Angels as an F.
Pretty low.
Now I wouldn't do that. Okay.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't rank them as an F.
Especially though they have been 18 and 12 over their last 30.
18 and 12 of the last 30, correct. Which is it's a good number for you and I to look at. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you otherwise. Okay. You're a positive guy. You should look at it that way. That's how I would hope you would look at it, because it's a recent sample size, right?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I think
since June 1st.
Yeah, I mean the 6 and 22 still weighs large to me, but it's like
I'm not asking you to look at that at all. But here's what I would argue. Do we believe in big sample sizes or small sample sizes?
I mean, your largest sample size would be what
okay.
you ultimately
are. I would argue 30 games is a pretty large sample size.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you're right.
I think everybody
what about the fact that they've lost 25 of their last 45? What about that they've lost 33 of their last 55?
Exactly. They're not as good as 18 and 12 all the time either. They're probably more, and like I said, back then I don't think that they're as bad as 6 and 22. It's probably just they're somewhere in the middle. I mean, 2/3 of this team is playing really, really good right now. The bullpen was the thing that was still kind of holding them back with their record, but like their bats, unless this power is suddenly just coming on and going to stay, I don't think it's going to be, this good for this long, right? They're
okay. Fair enough. But if you're going to hang your hat on 18 and 12, I'm not saying you particularly.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
If people are going to hang their hat on 18 and 12, Here's what else you would hang your hat on during that 30-game spin. They have the best team ERA in the American League. That's not starters. That's starters and bullpen. That's team ERA. All right? They have the second best team OPS during that stretch. So those are two really encouraging numbers. And something that I think a lot of Tigers fans, and justifiably so, if you're a positive person, you want to hang your hat on something like that. You're going to use this fact. My team has the best record in the American League over the last 30 games. My team has the best team ERA over the last 30 days. My team has the second best OPS over the last 30 days. You want to know what gives Tigers fans hope? Those numbers right there. Now, the negative Nilly will come in and go, yeah, but listen, you can talk about 18-12 all you want, but what about 20-25 over the last 45? What about 22-33 over the last 55? Which is more relevant? We'll gravitate toward the last 30 because A, it's recent, and B, it's positive. So I hope people do that. I really do. I'm not saying I would, because that's a tough one. Who this team is. And I think that's what frustrates a lot of Tigers fans more than anything else. The fact that we just don't know right now. They have shown us to be a Jekyll and Hyde team. They've shown us how bad they can be, and they've shown us how good they can be. And we can also look at it from a standpoint of, because it kind of flies in the face of what we've always believed. If you think X amount of games are who this team is, or any team is, your record tells you who you are, right, Bill Parcells? Well, if that's the case, they're 10 games under 500. How are we looking at it from anything other than that? Because we are hoping. How many days do you have until training camp? 10, right? 10 days until Lions training camp, I believe. You have 10 Thursdays, or maybe it's 9 Thursdays. I'm sorry, 9 from this Thursday, 9 weeks. You'll have the first NFL Thursday night game. How great is that? You've got to fill that space. You and I have to fill that space, right? And what you're hoping for is that your team can make a run here and catch some teams. Yes, they have to leapfrog a lot of teams for the wild card. I would remind you that other teams aren't playing very well either. So that's what's kept you in it. Shep, I'd rather watch paint dry than watch soccer. That's from Kevin, live in the chat. Kevin, I felt the same way. There are times where I was watching Team USA in this World Cup and felt like, hey, you know what? I can understand why. Look, all these people excited for it. I get it. I would agree with Kevin if I was doing this once a week or every night. I can watch baseball every night. I can watch football every week. I can watch basketball and hockey every night. I could not watch soccer every night. Once every 4 years, fine. So, Kev, I'm more with you than against you. Thanks for joining us here live on the stream. We're back after this on a Tullymore Tuesday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun. But roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
The Freddy the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Okay, back with you on a Tullymore Tuesday. Thanks for being with us here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meyer. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. You can join us in the chat as well. We stream live on X, YouTube, and on Facebook as well. Got a text. If a GM comes to town to fix a franchise, and after year 4, 80% of the roster is still counted on from the past GM, then loses the top 2 arms to free agency without signing one or both or trading one or both, his ass should be fired. He doesn't deserve to build around Melton, Job, Montero, 3 other guys he inherited. Well, agreed with that. I'm not saying the firing part. 80% of this roster, well, you look at who this team has right now and who the important pieces are. And I would consider Skubal and Mize important pieces, even though they're going to get traded or could be traded. I would think you have to. I mean, if you're not going to extend Casey Mize, and that hasn't been done yet, you've got to trade him, right? It's no different than trading Tarek Skubal. You can't let these guys walk. Stop with the whole compensatory picks. You've got to get players for them. Or am I wrong there?
No, you're right. If they're not going to sign him,
Is this team so close that it can afford to lose 2 premier pitchers to free agency?
No, they can't. If they're not, like, again, though, it's
who's the best pitcher on this team?
Tarek Skubal.
Who would be second best?
It's hard to argue Casey Mize.
It's Casey Mize. It doesn't mean that you can't move on without them. You can't. It's nice to have Troy Melton. It's nice to have Kiter Montero. It's nice to have Jackson Jobe coming. We don't know when, but it's nice to have it. Okay. You need, as been evident this year, all you have to do is look at look at any team, I suppose. Look at any team and find out how many guys have started for them. Like, we look at pitchings and we think, okay, here's just, our 4-man rotation, our 5-man rotation. No, not really. How many guys have started for the Tigers this year? Well, you've had plenty. You've had plenty of players. You've had a lot start for you this year. And that's an important statistic to look at. When you see certain guys starting for you, and you see a certain number, I should say, not certain guys, but a certain number of teams or a certain number of players starting for you, then you're going to have to realize you probably need 11 or 12 starters, right? Think about it for a second, because no one's going rarely, I shouldn't say no one, rarely are teams going through unscathed.
Yeah, you might be hoping for less injuries, but you're still going to have you're going to have starters missing some games. That's for sure every year. I don't think you're ever going to get a year where it's going to just be perfect.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, it's not very common. That's for sure.
No, it's not. So if you're going to look at that, and we know Framber Valdez has started 18 games, Montero started 15, Flaherty 17, Mize 13, Skubal 11, Melton 7. That would be great. They've also had Drew Anderson start. Tyler Holton has started. All right. And I know you're going, well, that's an opener. Yeah, it's still, it's injuries or scheduling or whatever has forced them to do that. Ty Madden has been called up, started a game. Birch Smith has started a game. Brendan Hannafy has started a couple of games. Who else has started here? Justin Verlander obviously has started a game. Suddenly you're looking at 10, 11 names. So it's not that you can't overcome what you may lose in a trade, but do you have the depth within your system to fill that void? And eventually you're going, or can you get something back in a trade to fill that void? Something that is a little bit more controllable. That's what's going to have to happen, right? So you look at it from that standpoint, and you've got a general manager right now, or a president of baseball ops, whatever. You're going to lose the top 2 arms you have. If you're not going to sign either one of them, you better get something for both of them. That hasn't happened yet. So to say that he should be fired is pulling that trigger a little soon, but the texter's right on. If, that's a big if, but if he doesn't get anything from him, then does he really have the right to build around those three other young arms? And I don't know if Ty Madden's the guy who can jump into your rotation next year, or when one of these or both these guys get traded. You'll have Valdez. Eventually, you'll have Job. You'll have Melton. You'll have Montero, who's been really good out of the bullpen, by the way. And then you call up Ty Madden. You need to call up two pitchers if you got rid of the two guys we just mentioned, Skubal and Mize, unless you get something back in return. And you would hope you would. Via text, Parker Meadows keeps getting hurt. What has Harris done? Third base, what has he done? Honestly, Parker Meadows is some people's favorite Tiger, and yet they think they could care less that he comes back. What the hell happened to him? This organization is dependent on two Meadows in a big way, and neither one has come through. Yeah, I remember when they traded for Austin Meadows. I thought it was a good trade. I did.
I did too. It seemed like a great one at the time.
Yeah. Look, at the time, this is a team that needed what? They needed production. Okay. And when he was traded from Tampa to Detroit, he was coming off a season in which he received MVP votes. I mean, he drove in 106 runs and had 27 homers. He was an all-star 2 years prior, where he had 33 bombs.
That was right before the year where they had added Javi and Eduardo Rodriguez too, right? So that was like the year they were kind of trying to do something. Yeah.
And yet for Detroit, he only played in 42 games.
It's crazy.
It is
one of the crazier things.
It's really unfortunate. The thing that I said at the time, somewhat controversial, but was how much homework did they really do? People in Tampa, and I was around when this happened, okay, because I was calling games during that stretch. People in Tampa knew there was something wrong. How many teams, shouldn't it be a little bit of a red flag when an all-star player is being shopped?
Yeah, I mean, when you look back at it now,
for
a
team that was competing for a division title, trying to get into the playoffs, why would that team trade one of its better players? How much homework was really done? Anyway, that's in the past. That was 2021, 22, 21, 2022, I think. He showed up.
Yeah, 22 was the year they were, like I said, they added those players. So
yeah. I was there in Lakeland when he arrived, and it almost felt like he was still shell-shocked.
Well, it was a pretty late ad too, right? Like in the offseason. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, that. But he was almost taken aback, like disappointed. It wasn't one of those things that, hey man, I'm just glad a team wanted me. You know what I mean? But it's a good point that the texter brings up, and that is, have they missed Parker Meadows? I think they have. I think defensively they have. I think they've missed his speed. A lot of people were not huge fans because he's not a power hitting center fielder. He was never a power hitting center fielder. He's never going to give you, he'd be lucky to give you double digits. But he only played 12 games this year. He only played 58 games last year. More defensively than anything else. It's another reason why you really feel like Max Clark has got to be it, because you need a center fielder. Riley Green's a very, very, very good left fielder. I was about to say elite, but he's a very good left fielder. I thought he was an excellent center fielder too, but he seems to be better in left field. The Tigers knew what they were doing. They moved him. You need to have that elite center fielder. Max Clark's got to be that guy. Phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Text line, Sports Radio 21,000. The Lions could be chanting, we're number 2. We'll explain when we come back. Brought to you by Meyer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. at MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
You know, one of the more famous scenes in a sports movie. I don't know what your favorite sports movie is. I know that's a topic that's been done over and over and over again, like somebody's revolutionizing sports radio. That's not where I'm going with this, but one of my favorites, probably my favorite sports movie, is Miracle. And I think Kurt Russell does an unbelievable job as Herb Brooks. And the speech that he gave before they played Russia or the Soviet Union, whatever you want to call it, was so well done, right?
For sure.
And by all accounts, it was as close as you could get to being real. Everything he said. My question would be, in last night's soccer game, what was Mauricio Pochettino's speech to his team? Without sounding too much like an American, is that the right guy to be giving that speech? I'm asking. What's wrong with that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think if they're making that movie, the speech impacts me as much as Kurt Russell's performance. Anyway, we move on. It just popped into my head because I was thinking about,
he was kicking Powerade bottles last night. He was definitely
he sure was.
He was showing that emotion for that.
Yeah. Way to go. Really well done. I saw this ranking by ESPN yesterday, the top 10 running backs going into 2026. And it has to do with our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. So check that out at XB Mornings. Jahmyr Gibbs is second. You okay with that? Bijan Robinson is one.
I'm not going to say
Jahmyr Gibbs second. Here's what they do for these rankings. I think it's brilliant by ESPN. Everybody talks about it. Huge will be talking about it later on today. I'll guarantee you that. Sports radio everywhere. That's what they do. What they do is they get build up for the training camps, and it's right around the corner. Here's what they did. They took league executives, coaches, and scouts, and they gave them a 1 through 10 ranking. Rank this guy at each position. This is the beauty of what ESPN.com is doing. They release this daily. So you and I could talk about it every day. So today is running backs. So here's what they've done. So the running backs are today. They're going to do cornerbacks tomorrow, edge rushers, all these things you can look forward to. It's beautiful. They got Bijan Robinson. They give him the highest ranking, what the highest any one of those executives or players or coaches gave them, and what the lowest ranking they received. They bottle it all up. They give you where this player was ranked a year ago, and then they give you their ranking this year. Bijan Robinson, highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 2. Okay? Last year, he was ranked 4th. This year, he's the number 1 running back, according to ESPN.com. Jahmyr Gibbs, highest ranking 1. I get it. Lowest ranking 8. My question to you would be this. First of all, I'd love to know who the hell ranked him 8th. And I'm not being a homer here. How in the world can you either scout, manage, play, participate in any way in the National Football League and think Jahmyr Gibbs is the 8th best running back in the National Football League? What am I missing here? Who could those 7 players be ahead of him? I could see Bijan Robinson. I could see Christian McCaffrey. I could, to a certain extent, see Saquon Barkley. Jonathan Taylor. Derrick Henry. James Cook. James Cook he's a really good player, man.
Yeah, he is. He's really good.
He
I think he's underrated too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a premier player. All right. First bill to lead the AFC in rushing since Thurman Thomas. First Bill to lead the NFL since O.J. Simpson. So tell me, you're okay with Gibbs being 2. I would be as well. But 8? A lowest ranking of 8. Am I overreacting when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs? Last year, by the way, he was ranked 3rd, so he moved up just 1 spot.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the lowest they're going to put him, some of the names you listed, I mean, you could probably make an argument for most of them. Would I say Derrick Henry is better than him now in his career? No. Was he better at one point? I mean, he put together some pretty good seasons.
Oh, no
I
question.
would definitely think he has an argument there. So
no question. Derrick Henry could
still
be a guy who rushes for 2,000 yards more than once in a single season, more than once in his career, and would be the first running back to do that. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about now.
Yeah, I mean, he probably shouldn't be ever as low as 8 in like coming into the season. I'll say that for sure. So I think it's like the most blown out of proportion thing I've ever heard. No, but I would never put him probably lower than 5.
All right.
Just no chance.
I don't disagree with you. Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, who would be the other player ahead of him?
That's exactly. So for me, he'd be my number 2. So I have a hard time filling in the 5. If somebody had an argument for a James Cook or a Derrick Henry or something along those lines, then I guess I could see it early.
A Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor did the way he played last year. Yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah.
And he's had some great seasons under his belt too. But
He had 4 rushes of 40 yards or more. That was second most in the league.
you got to understand
To Jahmyr Gibbs,
Yeah,
I might
right.
add.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to understand what Gibbs did. And
Yeah.
obviously last year they did start to fade David Montgomery a lot in the second half of the season, but he put up numbers that were really, really good for having another guy who got significant carries for a long time in that backfield too. So I think it's right now it's hard to argue that he's really
I think that hurts the survey when somebody has him at 8. But I'll give you another example of what hurts the survey as well. But here in a minute. Here's what they wrote about Gibbs. Many who voted Gibbs as the top back were emphatic that he is the best. Quote, your eyes tell you there's no one like him with the ball in his hands, an NFL coordinator said. He plays with better pace because of his vision. And then the gear is different. You see him blow by guys with angles. He's elite in the passing game. Gibbs' 18 touchdowns last year, the second most in a season in Lions history, trailing only Gibbs himself, who had 20 in 2024. He's got 39 rushing touchdowns in 3 years while splitting time, one NFL exec said. That's crazy. Some voters see Robinson as the better inside runner. Gibbs has proved durable despite running inside and outside the box. With David Montgomery traded to Houston, Gibbs could log his first 300 carry season in 2026. He averaged 225 carries per year since 2023. Here's what's just as ridiculous. Christian McCaffrey's highest ranking was 1, his lowest ranking unranked. There are people in the National Football League who actually did not rank him as a top 10 running back. Jonathan Taylor, highest ranking 2, lowest ranking unranked. There are people in the National Football League who don't believe he's a top 10 running back. Devon Achane, highest ranking 3, lowest ranking unranked. Kenneth Walker, highest ranking 6, lowest ranking unranked. Breece Hall, highest ranking 7, lowest ranking unranked. He's 10th. So I sort of get it. I'm trying to figure out who in the hell is not ranking Christian McCaffrey. Next time you're in an argument with somebody and you get this whole, well, I played and I scouted and all this other stuff. So did all these people who voted in this survey. And they're telling you that Christian McCaffrey isn't a top 10 running back?
They don't know what they're talking
about. They don't. We're brought to you by Meyer. Stay with us.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
This will come up a little bit later as we inch closer to the MLB trade deadline. But what Scott Harris says afterwards will be interesting, because remember a year ago, he said, "I regret not pulling the trigger on deals that we had access to at the deadline? I don't." And a lot of that is because he told us it would have cost his team players on their roster and some of their prospects. Okay. And those who are closely associated by the media to going toward Detroit, the additional pieces, the top prospects, and those additional pieces, it wasn't worth it. I suppose you have to trust an individual when he tells you that. You can be skeptical. I don't blame you for that at all. Depends on the players that you'd be losing. You sure don't want to lose. You wouldn't have wanted to lose a guy like Kevin McGonigal, right? I mean, he's been the big story for your team this year.
That's really good point, because I feel like he was a part of some of those talks. Probably,
I'm sure a lot of teams wanted him. I would not have wanted to give up Kevin McGonigal for Eugenio Suarez. Would you?
Absolutely not.
Hell no. No, and that's not armchair quarterbacking, by the way. I wasn't a fan of it a year ago because I don't think he's a good defensive third baseman. B, I think he's a lot of swing and miss, and his postseason was terrible. Now, but I said that before the trade. What you and I are going to have to decide as we move forward here closer toward the trade deadline, what would you be willing to part with, and at what point? The easy thing for all of us, Andy McDonald, me, you watching us stream live, you sitting at home listening, you driving and listening. The easy thing to do is I'd trade Terry Skubal. For what? I'd trade Casey Mize. For what? I'd trade Drew Anderson and Justin Verlander. I would trade all these guys. It's got to be a little bit more in depth than that.
Yeah, you can't just give up Terry. If you give up Terry Skubal and don't get enough back, can you imagine how much he's going to hear from that? I mean, he has to get all. He can't just get nothing back.
Well, the reason you have to do this is because of all those scenarios that all of us have talked about in the past. If you just wanted to, look, I would give up JD Martinez. You got to get something for him. Do you? JD Martinez brought back three guys
what did that do
never
for
heard of.
Yep.
Okay. Give me one guy who came here from the JD Martinez.
I keep going back to that text we had a couple weeks ago saying they're lottery tickets. I mean, that's what it is. It's like when you get the prospects, you truly don't know what you're getting if they haven't played in the major leagues. You can't just say, oh, we got all of these picks back and it's going to work out. No, I mean, when he's looking to trade Terry Skubal right now, I got to imagine that Scott Harris is looking into some major league talent coming back with that trade. Like I mean, come on.
Think?
It's the biggest trade chip they've probably had in my lifetime. I find
that's why it kills me when people just say, well, you got to trade him because he's going to hit free agency. You're going to lose him for nothing. So you've got to get something for him. My immediate response is, give me one name from the JD Martinez trade. Can you give me one name?
Got nothing. You got the same thing.
You're a baseball guy. I mean, Dawel Lugo?
Yeah, I remember the name. I didn't remember exactly what they got.
King?
Yep,
Jose King?
I remember that name too. Yep.
Sergio Alcantara.
Yep.
All of them.
I do remember all three of them.
Were infielders, and all of them were viewed as, I'm not saying elite, but they were infield prospects. Okay.
And you would think that one of those three would work out when you made the trade, probably. At least.
Lugo was a shortstop third baseman who at the time was hitting 282. All right. At Double-A, which is viewed as higher than Triple-A. Alcantara was 21, and he was hitting 280 at Single-A. And Jose King was a shortstop second baseman, only 18 years old, and was playing rookie ball. All three of them were left side of the infield guys, and all of them were putting up nice numbers at the level on which they were playing. including Lugo, who was playing at Double-A. Now, obviously, it was a crap trade. I didn't like the way J.D. Martinez and his camp put Detroit in that situation. It wasn't nearly enough. Justin Verlander trade, same thing. Wasn't nearly enough. What we have to remind ourselves is that it can't be just, I got to get something for him. You've got to get something impactful for them. That's why when people were talking about Tarek Skubal possibly going to the Mets, and you were saying, not you, but I mean, people were saying in general, oh, Nolan McLean. Yeah, you know why? Because Nolan McLean was the Mets' best young pitcher. And by the way, this year, he's got an ERA just under 4, a whip of 1.1, a guy who's 6-5, and leads his team in innings pitched with 101. But he's got 118 strikeouts. He's got a 10.5 strikeout per 9 ratio. Awesome. That's really that's really impressive. You want to put that in perspective? You think Tarek Skubal's a strikeout machine, right? Of course you do. And so do I. Tarek Skubal's strikeout to 9 this year, okay? And a guy who's got as live an arm as you'll find, right? 10.3. That's why those are the type. I'm not saying you trade him to the Mets because the Mets are going to be sellers. I would guess the Mets will keep everybody. Nobody wants Juan Soto's contract. Juan Soto, Nolan McLean, a few others. All right. But that's what they're going to want. That's who you wanted back in return. A guy like that. He's going to have some growing pains, but you need a player similar to that. As we move forward, I'm not saying we do it today, but as you move forward, I'm asking you, if you're convinced they're going to sell those two important pieces, it's not a Zach McKinstry sell. Zach McKinstry prospects. Okay, I get it. Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal need more than that, right? I hope you agree with me on that. If you don't agree with me, I'd love to know the logic.
No, yeah, seriously, okay. Bring up the argument.
Yeah.
Text it in, call in.
But I want specifics. Okay. I want to know who you're getting from the team you're trading this player to. You're going, I'll just use a quick example. You're going to the Yankees. Would you want Ben Rice? Somebody like that. Okay. He's a young, controllable player who's got power and can play a position in need.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Okay. Well, he's a first baseman, but he's better than Spencer Torkelson. You understand where I'm going, option, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Because if you go to the Athletics, you're not getting Nick Kurtz back. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to give that up right now.
So you have to be realistic at the same time. The love affair that people have, let's just package, I mean, back in the day, let's package Lindsey Hunter and Terry Mills for, a Hall of Fame player. That's not happening. All right. We get unrealistic in our trade expectations. I know what I would do. I would trade 2 future firsts and a couple of guys who don't play for the Pistons for Kevin Durant. That's what I would do. No, you wouldn't, because the general manager on the other end of the phone isn't doing that with you. So that's something we're going to have to look forward to. It'll be very interesting to see and kind of chart Scott Harris's thoughts on that as we move forward. I had given you the ESPN top 10 running backs and how Jahmyr Gibbs is at number 2. Pro Football Focus came out with its quarterback rankings. All 32 starters ahead of the season. Where do you think Jared Goff ranks? Now, before we do this, let me just say this. It's a really hard evaluation process. The Pro Football Focus, Chris Collinsworth, the rankings are built around 3 seasons of performance with passing grade, wins above replacement, estimated pass attempt per dropback, and a few other pieces of data. All right. I want you to tell me where you think Goff is, and I want you to tell me the top 3 quarterbacks in general.
In their system, I guess he's somewhere around like 13.
Why would you say 13? Why would you say so low?
I'm not sure if they use like rushing yards at all as a part of this, or is it just passing numbers?
Well, it's
Pro Football
splits,
Focus we're talking
it's
about.
Accuracy metrics, it's clutch performances, it's a little bit of other data. It's kind of generic in that regard when they describe it.
Yeah, the only reason
this is primarily for passers. Otherwise, Matthew Stafford wouldn't be 5th.
Okay, if it's just passing, he's got to be in the top 10. So I would put him at like 6, 7 somewhere there.
Yeah, they have him at 16. He's middle of the pack, Andy. Number 1 is Josh Allen. He's earned a 90+ Pro Football Focus grade in 6 straight seasons, becoming the first quarterback to accomplish that since PFF started charting in 2026. The only thing he's missing now is a Lombardi trophy. I think he's missing an AFC title. He's missing a little bit more than that. Joe Burrow is 2, Lamar Jackson 3. It's so easy to predict this stuff. Patrick Mahomes is 4, which when healthy, it's a joke. Patrick Mahomes should be 1.
Yeah, there's no question.
Stafford 5. I'm going to piss you off. So you don't have anything nearby you're going to throw, do you?
I don't think so. If I did, that'd probably be a problem. They wouldn't be happy.
Jordan Love is 6.
That's
the
insane.
love for the embracing love, fascination, hugging emoji around Jordan Love to me is beyond.
Well, I just love to know what metrics they use then to actually get him ranked that high. Like I don't understand where that comes from.
He took a big step forward, dude. Efficiency and consistency. Okay. I want to remind you something. I said this last week. I'll reiterate it, and I'll say this until my dying days. All right. At least at the end of this year. Jared Goff is the only quarterback in the National Football League in the last 3 years. And it's since, what was it? 2002. I forget the year. I don't want to say a wrong year, but it's been a while, last decade or whatever. 3 straight years of 35 touchdowns or more, or 30 touchdowns or more, 3,500 yards or more, and a completion percentage of 65% or more. And he was 1 touchdown away from making it 4 straight years. The only quarterback to do that. I'm not telling you he's the best in the National Football League. I'm just telling you he's a hell of a lot better than flipping 16 on PFF. And this is why numbers get
16
in the way
is
sometimes.
just is disrespectfully low.
It's incredibly disrespectful.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Jordan Love 6, Justin Herbert 7, Dak Prescott 8, Drake May 1 year under his belt 9. So much for the 3-year sample, right? It's really 2 years under his belt, right? Brock Purdy 10, Trevor Lawrence 11, Jaden Daniels 1.5 years under his belt 12.
Didn't play like all of last season.
Okay, you now you want to kick something? Get the dog away from you. Caleb Williams 13, Sam Darnold 14, Jalen Hurts 15, Jared Goff 16. Here's what they write about Goff. Average time to throw, 2.5 seconds, tied for second fastest in the league. EPA on 0 graded throws, ranked second overall. Numbers that reflect a quarterback who functions as an extraordinary efficient system executor. In other words, they're calling him an system quarterback. He has done nothing but stuff the stat sheet since being traded to the Lions. Leads the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns since 2022. Ranks 6th among qualifying quarterbacks in PFF WAR since 2023. His accuracy was outstanding. His 14.5% uncatchable pass rate ranked 1st in the league, while the Lions missed the playoffs for the first time in 3 seasons. Hard to blame Goff for their shortcomings. Then why are you blaming him at 16? Makes no sense. It's idiotic. Numbers lie in this case. And I tweeted this out and said this is going to piss a lot of Lions fans off, and I gave the explanation, and some people came back, there are still people defending Jared Goff, which got me thinking, why wouldn't you defend him? What is it about him? Again, I'm not trying to claim he's the best in the league. He's not. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I've had this debate for over a decade because I stood fast and said, Matthew Stafford's a top 10 quarterback. What? Are you kidding? Yes, he is. No, I'm not kidding you. He's a top 10 quarterback. He has proven that year in and year out.
Yeah, but Shep, Goff has had a couple bad games. That means that, no other quarterbacks in the league have bad games. So
correct.
It's it just because he's had games where he's thrown, like 4 interceptions, 5 interceptions, that's what happens every week. That's where I feel like people get their bias against him because of some of the games that he has played bad in, which, listen, I understand the playoff ones a couple of times. I'm not going to tell you that, again, this is why I don't think he's perfect either. This is why I have him top 10, not top 5. There's just been key mistakes he's made in the playoffs, in my opinion, and he's had some bad games that do call for something. But at the end of the day, week in and week out, he's giving you better numbers than a lot of quarterbacks in the league, and it's not easy to find that consistent and good of a quarterback when it comes to passing, accuracy, everything else. And I don't think people appreciate that enough.
Agreed. In 2024, more people talked about his 5 interception game in week 9 against Houston.
Exactly.
Than they did the 4 touchdown game against Jacksonville. When he gets, by the way, they won that game against Houston.
Yeah, when he gets 4, they did win that game. When he gets 4 touchdowns, or he does have a great game like that, it's just the talent around him. Everybody else played better,
or he played a really hard defense.
It can never be him.
He threw 5 touchdowns, no interceptions against Buffalo, and they lost. It wasn't enough, Shep. He threw for 494 yards. It wasn't enough, Shep. I see. What about when he threw the 5 picks against Houston, but they won? Well, they did it despite him, Shep.
If you don't love him, that's one thing.
Win. It's okay. It's okay if you don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Exactly.
I want to know why you don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
And I want to know why you think
it can't be because of the numbers. And if you sit there and say he doesn't win the big game, do you think Lamar Jackson is a top 10 quarterback? Do you think Josh Allen is a top 10 quarterback? Because they haven't won the quote unquote big game either. If you're only looking at the big game, your answer is Patrick Mahomes, in no particular order, Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, as of late. Am I wrong?
No, for sure. And I want to know why people think that you can't win with him either when he's proven. I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl. Yes, he didn't play good in it. And he did take the Lions to the NFC Championship game. Did they blow it in the second half? Yes, but I'm not going to be, he obviously didn't play his best football either. But everybody was talking about Josh Reynolds' drops in that game. I mean, are we not thinking about that either? It's crazy to me when people say that they can't win with him. They definitely can win with him, and he wasn't the problem last year. But
right. He wasn't great in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't the worst. Okay. Ben Roethlisberger played the worst quarterback play in a Super Bowl, and they won. Quick timeout. We're brought to you this hour by Meyer on a Tullymore Tuesday on X's and Bros.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
The good life is firecracker savings at Meijer throughout the July 4th weekend. Load up your cart with summertime crowd pleasers like juicy burgers made with 80% lean ground beef. Now just $3.99 a pound on a 3-pound package or larger, limit 5. Sweeten your celebration with fresh favorites. Sweet corn, 4 for $1. And mini seedless watermelons or tender golden pineapples, buy one, get one for $1. Mix or match. Make the 4th your best yet with good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
You have old retirement accounts still at former employers that could use some attention. You have accounts that the only time you hear from the advisor is when you call them. It might be time to take stock of your retirement and stop settling for less than you deserve. Having retirement accounts doesn't equal having a retirement plan. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Stop procrastinating and let's coordinate your retirement accounts and make sure you have a plan for success in retirement. At Mitch Lyons Wealth, we help people make sense of all the moving parts of retirement: taxes, income, risk, Social Security, healthcare, and legacy. It all works together, so let's make sure all parts of your plan are working together and not fighting themselves. Let's create a retirement of steel. Contact us today to schedule a brief chat to talk about your situation. If it makes sense, we can talk further. If you're good as is, we'll let you know that too. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com or text PLAN to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. Investment advisory services are offered by MLW Advisory Services, a state registered investment advisor.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Final hour on this Tullymore Tuesday. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Andy and I were just talking. Oh, and our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question, by the way. I want to make sure we stress that a little bit more here on this Tuesday morning. The Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. What's more disrespectful for the Lions? Dan Campbell being ranked the 5th best head coach. That's according to Pro Football Focus. Jahmyr Gibbs being ranked the 2nd best running back. That according to ESPN, behind Bijan Robinson. Jared Goff rated the 16th best quarterback by Pro Football Focus, or the Lions team having the 4th best roster in the NFC, 6th best overall, according to ESPN. Vote as often as you want at XP Mornings. We'll give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow, and we could talk a little bit more about that. But Andy and I were just referring to or talking about the Jared Goff situation. He's got a lot of friends who he works with over at Wood TV Channel 8. What kind of sports department is Jack Dole's running over there? But anyway, where they are tired of hearing about Jared Goff, and they think he is, am I surmising he's overrated or he's not good enough to win with? Is that fair, Andy?
I mean, yeah, that's plenty of the stuff that people say. It's always the same argument. This is also
why do you think why do you think that is? Why do you think your friends and coworkers voice that type of opinion? What is it about Goff that they don't like? Summarize it.
I would guess it's just the fact that sometimes his play looks a little clunky or whatever because he's not as fast as some of the other quarterbacks that you're going to see out there in the NFL. And I feel like everybody just wants the best thing and thinks it's so easy to get, I guess. Because I think you and I would both agree that there is quarterbacks we would take over him. But I think you also have to realize that it's not that easy to just get that player. You're not just going to get that player in every draft. And that's not just like, it doesn't just work out that easy. So when you get somebody that does have the talent and skill set, it's kind of your job as an organization to put him in the position to win. And I'm not saying they haven't done that because they have won with them and stuff. And he hasn't played as great in some of the playoff games as you might have wanted to. I think that's the two things. Like in the playoffs, he hasn't been as good as maybe you wanted him to be as he was all year. So people might think that he's fraudulent because of that. And then also the fact that he just has no mobility. I think
pretty good against Tampa, pretty good against the Rams.
Again,
okay.
Yep.
As a Detroit.
What happened? What happened? Do those games matter at all to people? It doesn't seem like it when they talk about it. And he was very good for.
It's what you've done for me lately. I get all that. I completely understand that. Okay. To say that you can't win with him is borderline ignorant. Okay, because he's 48, 33, and 1 as a Lions starter. A guy who averages on the years through his career or whatever, 4,400 yards and 29 touchdowns. You don't think you can win with those numbers? With a 66% completion percentage? It's okay not to like a certain player or a certain team. My frustration is that the people who don't like them fail to give them any credit whatsoever when they're successful.
Yep.
Or degrade their accomplishments thus far.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to tell you that he's a top 5 quarterback, and neither is Andy. Would you want Josh Allen? Yes. Lamar Jackson? Yes. Joe Burrow? Yes. Patrick Mahomes? Yes. Matthew Stafford? Yes. Even though he's older, and he basically throws from a spot as well. We act like these guys are in wheelchairs, and they're not. They can move. They can move up in the pocket. He slides the pocket. He gets outside the pocket and throws. And quite honestly, throws very well outside the pocket. He just doesn't run very graciously. How's that, right? It's the same reason people have a problem with Riley Green. Why does he run that way, right? So you want someone who has the form of a Michael Johnson on the track field at the quarterback position, and it's just not going to happen with Jared Goff. In other words, you're not willing to accept who he is. The difference is that Andy and I are. Again, not saying he's a top 5 quarterback, saying he's a top 10 quarterback, and I don't think that's a stretch. If I asked you, I want you to stop me when I read you the winning Super Bowl quarterback who is viewed as graceful or a running quarterback. Bart Starr, Joe Namath, Len Dawson, Johnny Unitas, Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach could run. He ran well at Navy, and he ran well with the Cowboys. Super athletic. You have to be athletic to play the position in the first place. I don't care who you are. Even Billy Kilmer was athletic, all right? Maybe not as athletic as Fran Tarkenton, but he was athletic. So Roger Staubach the first, Bob Greasy, Terry Bradshaw, Kenny Stabler, Jim Plunkett, Joe Montana. Joe Montana was graceful. He could move outside the pocket. He could run with the football. So maybe there's two. Joe Theismann, Jim McMahon, Phil Simms, Doug Williams, Jeff Hostetler, Mark Rippon, Troy Aikman, Steve Young. There's a third. Brett Favre, John Elway. There's a fourth. Kurt Warner, Trent Dilfer, Tom Brady, Brad Johnson, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Drew Brees. There's a fifth. Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson. There's a sixth. Nick Foles. Questionable. Patrick Mahomes. There's a seventh. Matthew Stafford. Jalen Hurts. There's an eighth. Sam Darnold. Those are the winning quarterbacks. You can get there. You want me to bring up those who got there? Oh, guess who's in that? Jared Goff. Rich Gannon got there. He wasn't viewed as that. Kerry Collins got there. Wasn't viewed as that. Steve McNair did get there. He was viewed as that. Cam Newton got there. He was viewed as that. It takes, the point is, you've got winners and you got guys who just get there of all kinds. The whole belief that, well, Jared Goff, look at all the talent around him. Yeah. Guess who else had a lot of talent around him? Terry Bradshaw, Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Steve Young, all those guys. John Elway. John Elway played with the MVP. They all had talent around them. Sometimes that talent's good enough to take you over the top, and sometimes it's not. You don't think Dan Marino had talent around him? He did. He just didn't have enough talent to beat Joe Montana and the 49ers talent. That's the problem back in 1984. 38-14. Final score, I believe. That's what that's the point that we're trying to make. I'm not trying to convince you that you've got to love Jared Goff. And I'm not trying
That's
to
what people
you.
think, though. That's what people think. It seems like when you bring that up, and that's why the debate is always so heated in that subject. I get it.
But that's just about any quarterback, don't you think?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is like, it feels like people just think that, this is some huge thing for the Lions. Like, well, we could have, the Jets problems at quarterbacks over the past however many years, or, other organizations that literally can't figure it out at all at that position.
Yeah, but remember this, the Lions couldn't figure it out either.
No, they couldn't.
For a long time until they drafted Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
Okay. So the misses on the Andre Wares and the Chuck Longs and the Joey Harringtons of the like, and the Rodney Peets, even though he was a later draft pick, that argument doesn't work for us in Detroit because we've already lived through that.
100%.
We were supposed to be a franchise that turned the corner.
We were
supposed to be a franchise that got better and learned from mistakes. And we are constantly telling people, you and I, or being told by others, that the people in place now know exactly what they're doing. That's the reason that argument doesn't work for us. When we come back, speaking of the roster and speaking of coaching, we'll get to those rankings. Amari Sankofa will join us bottom of the hour to talk where the Pistons are at as people start to freak out that they haven't done nearly enough. All that and more coming up here on a Tully Moore Tuesday, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined.
This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers open up a 3-game series with the Athletics tonight. Detroit is 18-12 since June 1st, best in the American League. Their team ERA, best in the league over that span as well, and their team OPS is second only to the Twins during that stretch. These are all believable and encouraging numbers. The negative is the fact that the Tigers remain 10 games under 500, and even with an AL best record since June 1st, the longer sample size has them losing 25 of their last 45 and 33 of their last 55. Those are concerning numbers. Believe what you choose, but the Tigers have 2 series left before the All-Star break, both at home against playoff hopeful teams. They need them both to detract from more intense trade talk.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
The good life is firecracker savings at Meijer throughout the July 4th weekend. Load up your cart with summertime crowd pleasers like juicy burgers made with 80% lean ground beef. Now just $3.99 a pound on a 3-pound package or larger, limit 5. Sweeten your celebration with fresh favorites. Sweet corn, 4 for $1. And mini seedless watermelons or tender golden pineapples, buy one, get one for $1. Mix or match. Make the 4th your best yet with good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
kind of interesting. Welcome back. Thanks for being with us. 18 after the hour on this Tuesday morning. It's a Tullymore Tuesday, and we're brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. I know we want to get to the final results of the poll question and the daily wager here in a minute. This is from our good friend Freddie, who says, Shep, I personally think it's because Goff is not that likable. Seems like a good dude. Did go after fans being negative toward the media, being negative toward Matthew Stafford. Never did that, though. And I don't think his napping, you can win that way in the public, especially when you have a game you had against Washington. You never win by going after fans. I don't disagree with that. But at some point, there's a T-shirt out there and a sweatshirt out there and a hat out there that says Detroit versus everybody. Maybe Jared Goff and other players who've done that have that sense that it's us against everybody. You know, think about this for a second. I'm not saying Freddie's wrong. I think Freddie's right about that. I think he's likable. I think that was a misstep on his part. But I want you to think about this for a second. Maybe this is a bad example, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a player in this town who dreamed of playing for his hometown team, loved being here, recognized that his management wasn't doing enough to win, recognized the same thing you and I have complained about that same management, and he said something about it. And continues to see how it doesn't happen and now wants out. And he's a bad guy.
Who could that be? Is it recent?
He
a
goes,
recent topic?
It is a recent topic. He goes after management like fans do, and he's a bad guy. This guy goes after fans. He's a bad guy. How do you become a good guy? And I mean, besides making the rounds of taking pictures with everybody like Tarek Skubal. Tarek Skubal said all the right things. I want to be here. I'm taking pictures with Tom Izzo. I'm wearing a Lions jersey. I'm wearing a Red Wings jersey. All those different things, right? I like Cade Cunningham. Look at me. I've got my armor on. Is it going to matter to you? I don't understand why. Like I said, you're not supposed to think it doesn't do you any good to take shots at the fan base, especially the same fan base that has cheered your name when you're not even in a building or not even in a football stadium. So it's ridiculous to do that. If you're going to hold that against him, and I'm not saying Freddie is, but if you're going to hold that against him for this long as a reason why you don't like him, I think that's pretty short-sighted. Shep, until a quarterback wins a Super Bowl in this town or gets to one, no quarterback's going to measure up. Those are the facts. Amen to that. Would you say the same thing about a coach? Would you say the same thing about a running back? About a defensive end? I bring that up because it means that Herman Moore, Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders didn't live up to it. Why is it always just the quarterback? Speaking of the Lions, ESPN rates their roster, top to bottom, as the 6th best in the National Football League, which is, I think, quite a compliment. You know, you are upper quarter of the league, close to it, upper 6th. My bigger problem is they're number 4 in the NFC. Who's ahead of them? Who's got a better roster? I don't know everybody's roster. I don't think you do either, with all due respect. The Rams are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. When you get Myles Garrett, and you've already got Matthew Stafford, and you've got a hell of a 1-2 punch in the backfield with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, and you've got a dynamic wide receiver in Puka Nacua, a touchdown receiver in Devontae Adams, and 1,500 tight ends on your roster, you could understand. You also have one of the best corners in the league in Trent McDuffie. So I personally, and Byron Young, I think, is a really good player, and I really like Nate Landman. I think he's awesome. You can understand why they're number one. All right, good. They got Philadelphia at 2. You good with that? You understand why they have
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I do too. They got 2 outstanding corners. They got good wide receivers, even though they traded A.J. Brown. They got a good offensive line. Absolutely. They've got Seattle at number 3. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Offensive Player of the Year. Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed. They got a really good defense. There's 3 NFC teams right there. Plus, they're the defending world champions. They deserve some credit.
Yeah, it's hard to not give them it.
They've got Buffalo at 4. They've got Baltimore at 5. And then they've got the Lions. Biggest strength, offensive playmakers. You and I both would agree with that. Group has helped Detroit finish top 5 in offensive yards and touchdowns each of the past 4 seasons. Biggest weakness, secondary. This one is not for a lack of talent, but major availability concerns make Detroit's secondary a massive question mark. X factor, Blake Miller, the right tackle. I think the Lions have a stalwart offensive line, but they had a serious need at right tackle. After releasing Taylor Decker and flipping Sewell to the left side, they filled it with Miller in the first round of the draft. Non-starter to know, Christian Ezien. If Branch is healthy enough to play, he'll spend a lot of time in the slot, which will require a third safety on the field. This guy provides 10 games for Tampa in 2024 and could help them in that regard. 6th. The roster is 6th. Let's get to the final results of the poll question. I don't have a problem with that in the NFC.
No,
I think I understand the concern totally with the secondary, and it's justified. I'm a little not baffled. People love Buffalo, and I don't know what needs to be proven. I think James Cook is outstanding. Josh Allen is outstanding. I like Ed Oliver. All right, their offensive line pretty damn good. Their tight ends, really good. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are fantastic. All right. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a starting safety. I don't know, man. I think Detroit's roster is better than Buffalo's. But I do believe the 3 teams in the NFC is better than theirs. All right. Final results of the poll question. Yesterday, here's what we asked you. The Mitchell Lions Wealth poll question. Which Tiger's most deserving of an all-star nod? Green, McGonigal, or Dingler? What'd they say?
It doesn't really surprise me, but Dylan Dingler got 77% of the vote. I think it's very well deserved for him.
That's
and
how I voted.
Yeah, it would have been the biggest outrage if he didn't make it based on that fan vote.
Who was 2?
It was Kevin McGonigal at 19% and then Riley Green at 4%. You could definitely debate that one. I think
it is debatable. I would go Dingler, Green, McGonigal, although I think all 3 are very deserving. But
yeah,
if you had to put them in order. All right.
Absolutely.
How was your daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend?
Yeah, that's how a guy now back to back. They're giving it to me. Yeah. Balagoon did not back me up. He only had 3 shots last night, as we could all tell from watching. The USA's offense was just not there pretty much the whole night. So that was very unfortunate. But tonight I'm going to go back to baseball, and I'm going to go with a guy that everybody knows about at this point, Jacob Mizorowski. I'm going to take him to get 8 strikeouts, which is around -110. They're still giving you that. He's done it in 9 of his last 10 starts, and the only time he missed it, he had 7. They're playing the Cardinals tonight. The last time he pitched against them, he had 12. So he's been phenomenal, and he's hit that number 9 of 10 times. So I'm just going to ride with it.
You do your research. Good for you. Well done. When we come back, Omari Sankofa, always well done. We'll talk Pistons on X's and BrO's.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick 6 meal for 2. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week. Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at Ferris.
The good life is firecracker savings at Meijer throughout the July 4th weekend. Load up your cart with summertime crowd pleasers like juicy burgers made with 80% lean ground beef. Now just $3.99 a pound on a 3-pound package or larger, limit 5. Sweeten your celebration with fresh favorites. Sweet corn, 4 for $1. And mini seedless watermelons or tender golden pineapples, buy one, get one for $1. Mix or match. Make the 4th your best yet with good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
Ferris Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
The hour. Welcome back on this Tullamore Tuesday. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Amari Sankofa, always a friend of the program, always ready for breaking news. Last time we had him on, had to let him go early because of the breaking news, and he broke it right here on our program. And we always appreciate the following him at Amari Sankofa, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. I know it's been it's funny when people talk about writers and they're like, oh, their season is over. I say to them, I'll use you as an example. It's never over. You are always working the phones and trying to see what's going on in the world of the NBA and basketball in general and the Pistons specifically. What's it been like for you during this time? How compare this time to during the regular season for listeners out there and what your job is all about?
Yeah, it's just a completely different rhythm. Regular season, of course, you're going from game to game. You've got 3 or 4 games a week. So, like, there's still breaking news, obviously, especially around the trade deadline. But summer is very transaction heavy. I think the John Collins news broke when I was on the phone with you all last week. And, that's basically it. I mean, you're working the phones. You're trying to figure out what the team is trying to do and when it's going to happen. And the Pistons have been extremely busy remaking their roster and trying to get ready for next season to build off of last year. So, a lot of phone calls, phone conversations, texts, and also the element of not knowing what's going to happen and when, right? So, if the Pistons dudes could break it again this morning, we don't know. You just got to be ready for it.
Yeah, you wrote yesterday in the Free Press, and you can follow him on Twitter as well, at Amari Sankofa. The Pistons have signed Ibuka Okori. I never got your thoughts on him as a first-round draft pick. What do you like about the kid out of Stanford, and what do you view his role being?
Yeah, I mean, he's extremely fast. That he's great with the ball in his hands. And I think those are things that should translate from day one. He was a big-time scorer at Stanford last year, averaged about 23 a game. Teams just couldn't keep him out of the paint. He was a walking paint touch. He's got an electricity, I think, to his game that I think could contrast really well on this Pistons team with Cade Cunningham. You never know exactly what to expect, from any rookie, especially a 6'1" ball handler. But, just his speed, that downhill ability, those are things that should translate pretty well. And they need another bucket getter. They believe that Ibuka Okori can grow into that role over time. And I think he's going to be a fun watch at Summer League, too. Summer League starts for him here in a couple of days on Thursday. And he's their main player on that roster, being their first round pick. So he brings a lot. We'll see how he develops, but I do think he has a chance to be a really good NBA scorer.
Speaking of bucket getters, on July 3rd, you gave everybody a pre-holiday fantasy, and that is Pistons linked to Trey Murphy. How would he fit? And then you described eloquently how he would fit. How realistic is that? What would they have to do to get it? And how far away could it be from coming to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's realistic. I don't know if I would put money on it happening just because, and I'm about to break down, but Trey Murphy's a good player. He's not a guy that I think the Pelicans want to trade just to trade. They're going to have a pretty compelling reason to do so. But, I mean, he's an excellent shooter, has been since he's gotten into the league. He can really, really shoot the ball. And beyond that, he's a 3-level scorer. I think he's improved as a playmaker since he's gotten into the league. And the Pistons just have a need for, that scoring floor, especially following the departure of Tobias Harris. So he could come in and I think play a role for his team immediately and really feel a need at that 4th spot. But he's a good player. I mean, he's 26. He's got a lot going for him, and he really would be a strong fit for this Pistons team.
What would you have to give up to get him?
It would take multiple first-round picks. I know the reporting out there said 3 first-rounders for the Pistons. They're more recent first, like for example, a 2027 or 2028 first, probably going to be a late first round pick, and especially after these lottery changes they've made that de-incentivize taking. I'm not sure how valuable those picks would be in a trade. So you're probably looking at having to include maybe Ron Holland and some more too. So they would definitely have to give up to try to get a guy like that. But you're looking at multiple first-round picks and Ron Holland potentially just to be in a conversation to make that happen.
Yeah, I would do that, but that's easy for me to say. The picks to me don't matter much. I don't know. I like your thoughts on this. The picks don't matter to me as much. Ron Holland matters, but I also understand you've got to give up something to get something. With the way this team is constructed right now, maybe unfairly, I've said they've basically patched holes. What do you think they've done so far that you like? What's left to be done?
Yeah, I thought the trade for Isaiah Joe was a good trade. They just traded 2 second-round picks to Oklahoma to get Isaiah Joe, and he's been one of the best shooters in the league these last few years. Shot 42 or 43% from three last year. He's just as good of a shooter as Duncan Robinson, and he was their best shooter last year. So now you've got two really, really elite floor spacers who can make life easier for Cade Cunningham. And that was one of the biggest needs for him, was just getting more shooting. So to add Isaiah Joe, I think helps that a lot. John Collins is the replacement for Tobias Harris at the 4, and he's a bit of a different player from Tobias. Tobias is more of a pure 3-4. John Collins is more of a power forward who can also play up a position at center. He's 6'10", but he's athletic. He can play above the rim. He can shoot the ball, rebound, and I don't think he's a bad defender either. So he's a versatile player. He fits this team really well, I think. Like I said, you lose Tobias. You also lost Isaiah Stewart, and just as a culture guy, what he brought defensively.
Yeah,
that's really tough to lose. But it does create more room for Paul Reed as well. So they can still use some more depth, I think, at power forward, but they did have some really good guys.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Amari Sankofa joining us here on X's and Bros on this Tullymore Tuesday. I think people want a splash, not necessarily me, but people want a name. I want a player who's going to fill a void. And let's face it, neither one of the players that they've acquired fills the void overall of shooting on a regular basis as a threat. It's not like Tim Hardaway Jr. It's not like Malik Beasley, whether those are fair runs. Hell, it's not even Sadiq Bey from a three-point shooting standpoint. They need more. How can they go about getting it? And who is a possible name that is left out there that you might be enticed by?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about more, you're talking about a guy like Trey Murphy, who could potentially be number 2 scorer, and I think that's what they really need. You look at making a deep playoff run, and you're going against teams like the Knicks. They've got Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, and even OG Anunoby, who I thought turned into a really, really good number 3 in the playoffs. You look at Philly. I mean, they've got Jaylen Brown, they've got Embiid, they've got Tyrese Maxey. VJ Edgecombe was a really good rookie last year, so they've got 3 or 4 go-to guys that can just get you a bucket in crunch time. The Pistons are still pretty Cade reliant, I think, as this roster is constructed. Okori, I think, over time can grow into that. I mentioned the guys that they added who kind of round the roster out, but they don't have that number 2. And I think if you're looking at a move that could really transform this team's prospects long term, it's probably that type of move. So they've still been connected to certain guys. I don't know when or how it happens, and if they can even do it this summer. They have a roster that's really well formed for a mid-season move at this point, but that doesn't mean they're going to wait until mid-season. But you still need that high-end scorer that can just make life easier for Cade.
You chase down a lot of rumors. You have to deal with an awful lot, especially on social media. The Instagram picture of Kevin Durant wearing an English D on his hat, even though it's not the true English D. What was your take on that? How possible do you think that could be?
Yeah, I think the Durant hat was his own brand. The D for Durant. I know a lot of people saw it and said this is a Detroit D, and he's sending a message. I don't know if it was that, but I mean, Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. I think that kind of speaks for itself. Houston traded for him last year, and they didn't have the success that they wanted. So you don't want to overpay for a guy like KD just because he is 38. He does have a bit of an injury history, and you still got to have a roster around those two. But KD's got a great relationship with Cade, and he's KD. He's absolutely a guy that can give you that other punch you need just to compete. So that's what I'm curious to see. Because again, it's KD. I think anytime you can get a guy like that, and even at the age of 38, he's still such a good scorer. He really would solve a lot of problems for this team.
Yeah, at 26 a game, even a year ago. So here's my concern. I expressed this last week. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Look, he's got rings. He's got medals. Obviously, he's a champion, and obviously he knows what it takes to win. How concerned should anybody be if his name is linked to Detroit and he has been around the block more than once, and it doesn't seem like he leaves teams in very good places? In other words, I wonder what kind of influence he would be on some of the younger players. Would it be a positive or negative? I don't think Trajan Langdon brings him in if he's not a positive influence. I just can't help but wonder about that.
Yeah, KD's KD. He's going to come in and he's going to want to play and he's going to want to win. And that's pretty much that. I think you bring him in knowing that, and he would know that he's not the guy. That's Cade. The boss is going to be in Cade's hands. He's your franchise guy. But what KD does, I think, is undeniable. And as a front office, you kind of just have to figure that part of it out. You're not bringing in KD to be like a locker room leader in the same way that Tobias Harris was. Right. I think there's maybe an element of trust there. Cade's going into year 6, Asara's going into year 4, Duran's going into year 5. These are still young guys, but they're not young guys to the extent that they used to be. They're off a 16-win season, so you kind of know what the deal is. You've got to get better. You've got to win. And there is a friendship and a respect between KD and Cade there that, I'm sure you would hope would carry over into the locker room and help the chemistry next season. So at the end of the day, it's KD. I think a guy that talented, you have to at least consider it and live with whatever downsides there may be.
You brought up Jalen Duren. Where does it stand right now? And do you think the Pistons have leverage? Duren has leverage? And what's the price tag you think that it will take to keep him here in Detroit?
Yeah, the Pistons have leverage. Restricted free agent. Duren is entirely reliant on other teams being able to make offer sheets for him, and there are no teams that can do that. The only team that had money last week was the Los Angeles Lakers, and then they went and got Walker Kessler, and they went inside like a few guys. They got they signed Austin Reeves, they got Quentin. They went and just brought in a handful of guys, and they spent up all their money. So at this point, it's essentially what the Pistons are offering, and if he wants to accept, this could play out over the course of the whole summer. He has until October 1st until his qualifying offer expires, and that's his other option. If he just takes a qualifying offer, comes back for less money, but it's a 1-year deal, and then you're an unrestricted free agent and can kind of pick your path next summer. So that's a nuclear option. The Pistons, I would be surprised if the deal ends up being more than, and I'm just throwing a number out there, it could even be a lot less than this, but like 200. If you're the Pistons, you look at a guy like Alperen Şengün down in Houston, he's making $185. That's, you could debate whether that's an overpay, underpay, whatever it may be, but that's about $37 a year. And that Duren deal, if I have to guess at this point, you're probably looking at somewhere between 35 and 40. at the most at this point. So that's a pretty big pay raise for him still, but it falls well short of the max. He doesn't have a way to get that max elsewhere. Like, that's just that passage is closed out. So it's just going to be the Pistons trying to find the right number, to where he feels comfortable signing back. But he does not have leverage at this point, just because of the way that restricted free agency is structured.
Yeah, I was going to say between 30 and 35. I like Jalen Duren. I do. I think there's still more upside there. But I also understand why you got to be really careful. And there's no way he has earned a $40 million a year contract per year, at least based on my experience. But I do like the player. Did you watch soccer last night? And how much have you gotten into the World Cup? Have you always been a soccer guy, or did you just kind of get into it lately?
No, I'm not a big soccer guy. Like, I've been joking with people. I need to I need to tap into it more. They've been having watch parties across the street from the outside, and it'll be like 9, 10 p.m. and you hear all these people hooping and hollering and cheering, and I've kind of felt left out. So I do want to watch soccer, but I'm not a big soccer guy, so I really have not been following it too closely.
Likewise, maybe you catch a bug every 4 years, but it sure isn't our passion like we follow with the NBA. That's for damn sure. Omari, appreciate it as always, my friend. You're a good man. You keep up the great work. We hope to see you soon.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Omari Sankofa of the Free Press. He's a really good dude, and you got to follow him on Twitter at Omari Sankofa. I'm sure you do. If you're an NBA fan, if you're a Pistons fan, that's what you're doing. Okay, you're following the same people I am. I'm sure he brings really good insight. And he's really good on his podcast too.
He is. It's great. I was joking with him, texting him because of the whole John Collins thing. I was like, well, at 8:33, KD's definitely getting traded for it. There's almost no question about it, and we're going to be right there for it.
Become a little bit more of a habit on this program. I would take that habit, and I'm sure he would too, as long as he's breaking it, which he helped us with the John Collins news. I like the John Collins pickup, and I do like the Isaiah Joe pickup. I really do. I can't necessarily talk about the draft picks yet, but I do like the two established players. I just don't think they've addressed what they need to address yet.
I think that's where everybody's kind of at right now.
Yeah, and I think they it's fair to say they need more, and I don't mean just signing Jalen Duren. My hope is that something is going to happen with this team where it's okay to part with some young talent to get some established talent. So I like what he said about Trey Murphy III. I would have no problem, really. I would have no problem giving up 3 first-round picks and a player like Ron Holland for Trey Murphy III. I would have no problem with that whatsoever. I don't know if that would get it done because I think those draft picks are going to be late. So we want to thank Omari Sankofa. I want to thank you as well, and thank our sponsors, Mitch Lyons Wealth, of course, Meyer, Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, Tully Moore Resorts, and we hope you're back with us tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, here on X's and Bros. Don't forget the huge show later on today from 3 until 7. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.
In the Den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined.
This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers open up a 3-game series with the Athletics tonight. Detroit is 18-12 since June 1st, best in the American League. Their team ERA, best in the league over that span as well, and their team OPS is second only to the Twins during that stretch. These are all believable and encouraging numbers. The negative is the fact that the Tigers remain 10 games